The rise of the Berlin Wall directly coincided with the Cold War, a conflict of ideology between the capitalist West and the communist East. At the conclusion of World War II, the German territories in the West were divided between the US, the UK and France, and the Soviet Union took the East as negotiated in the Allied Peace Conference at Yalta and Potsdam. Despite being in Soviet-owned territory, Berlin was divided similarly to how Germany as a whole was split, with the West becoming the Federal Republic of Germany and the East becoming the German Democratic Republic. Life in the West was pretty good going, with lots of investment in the city resulting in higher wages, a variety of consumer goods and increased freedom. While the East did offer its citizens free healthcare and education, citizens were also spied on by the Stasi police force to ensure there was no traitors, as well as the city's resources being extracted and relocated by the Soviet Union. Prior to the wall being built, there was freedom of movement between East and West, with many East Berliners moving permanently to the West to increase their standard of living. In 1948, an angered Nikita Khrushchev was desperate for the US, UK and France's removal from the city to grow Germany as a communist satellite state, resulting in him calling a blockade against the West. The blockade of West Berlin aimed to starve the Western Allies out of the city. However, the blockades were unsuccessful and were called off a year later as the Allies flew in food, fuel and other goods, totaling 2.3 million tons by the end of the blockade. It would be on the 13th of August 1961 where the makeshift beginnings of the Berlin Wall were erected by the communist government of the German Democratic Republic. This was done under the guise of keeping the fascist Westerners out of the East. However, its true cause was to prevent residents of the East from escaping to the West. East Berliners could no longer freely get to the west of Berlin. To make things worse, as the years passed, vast upgrades were made to the wall itself. An additional 3.6 metre concrete barricade topped with a smooth piece of pipe on the top to prevent climbing was added, on top of spike strips, guard dogs, landmines and 302 watchtowers to ensure the population of East Berlin stayed put. Despite the reinforcements, over 5,000 East Berliners, including 600 guards, crossed the border. Some were so desperate to leave that they crawled through the sewers or flew over in a hot air balloon. Despite some successful escape stories, 171 people were killed trying to get around the Berlin Wall. Some of these killings were in plain sight of Berliners on each side. This reminded them of the hellish situation that they were stuck in. On the 9th of November 1989, as the Cold War thawed in Eastern Europe, the spokesman of the East Berlin Communist Party announced at midnight citizens could cross the country's borders, ending a 28-year separation from family and friends. This led to East Berliners storming checkpoints of the wall, dismantling it alongside their western neighbours who danced on top of the now defunct barrier. Over 2 million people from East Berlin visited the West that same weekend for what one journalist described as the greatest street party in the world. The reunification of Germany was officially finalised on the 3rd of October 1990, uniting Germany for the first time since the conclusion of the war in 1945.